All right, guys, we are here at the House of Greatness podcast. It's been a minute since we've done one of these. We have actually one of our favorite and special guests in, one of our first time guests. Introduce you to Kyle Pandaman from Jersey.
Yeah.
And you guys know this guy, the Juice Man.
The legendary.
Brandon Kelly from Undisputed. And obviously my partner, Joseph Rojas, a legend in the industry when it comes to design.
Yeah,
welcome, guys. South Florida in May.
Man.
A little steamy.
Yeah, it's good though, man.
A little steamy.
Yeah.
You're always sweating when you're around Brandon anyway, so I think it's the hair that does it for me. But no, man, when these guys come in town, you know, we get a crazy workout in. BK puts us through his program, sweat a ton there. It's actually my first time meeting Kyle. Heard a ton of great things about him. He's a legend, also like Brandon when it comes to fasting in the community. We'll dive into that here in a little bit. But we've got some exciting news. Actually, the first ever collab between Undisputed, Brandon and Kyle. Juice Man, Dragon Slayer with the Pandaman connecting.
To slay a dragon. Remember that.
Yeah, we'll take some bets later if a dragon or a panda would win in a fight. But we'll tackle that later. But no, welcome guys. We appreciate you being here.
Actually, we don't even know if pandas are real.
Yes.
I think I've seen a panda.
Have you seen one?
Not many people have actually seen
No, I actually haven't seen one. It's got to be real though.
I don't know, man. I've been hearing stuff that it's not even a real thing.
In 2024, nothing will shock me. Nothing can shock us.
What they label themselves as.
Yeah. But hey, give it a quick introduction. You guys know BK. Kyle, man, welcome. Seen a ton of your videos on social. Seen a lot of podcasts that you've done.
Yeah.
You know, obviously well known in the community. But yeah, let everybody know kind of your background and kind of what you do.
Sure. So my background, fitness was my passion. Got into that in high school, like really deep, you know, for sports, and then I fell in love with bodybuilding. So went down that road, researching stuff way back before people were doing that, especially teenagers.
Right.
So then I wound up competing a few times in natural bodybuilding, worked with Rutgers football, strength and conditioning. So it kind of just gave me a different view on like different ways to train and all that stuff. So anyway, went back to school for teaching. I didn't know what I wanted to do after I worked with Rutgers football for health and phys ed. So again, in that field, did that for about 7.5 years and resigned to run the gym full time. So I had a gym. Now we have 2 gyms. And that
What's
was
the name of the gyms?
Newell Strength, my last name, yeah, Newell Strength. And it's, you know, all private, small group personal training. So it's pretty neat. Got a beautiful family, Devin, we call Susie Homemaker. And three beautiful children, Brax, Colty, and Emma. Okay. Me and Devin met when we were teaching, and she resigned a couple of years after I resigned.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we kind of went all in, and then we had the Pandaman brand, which started only about a little more than a year ago.
Okay, so still relatively new.
Yeah, relatively new, but we were kind of waiting, you know, and Devin finally told me, all right, it's time this year, let's go for it, which was last year. And me and BK have known each other since 2015.
Oh wow, okay, I didn't know it was that long, yeah.
Yeah, 15 or 14.
Yeah.
Might be 10 years.
November 2014 was
2014.
when I went out there and saw Vince and I think I met your wife.
Yes.
Before I met you.
Yeah.
He sent his wife to a small mastermind. It was like a seminar on developing business for gym owners and, you know, different standard operating procedures, transitioning from coaches, trainers to now the business role, working on the business instead of in the business. So I met his wife there.
Yeah.
And then shortly after, I went to another seminar. I was traveling, trying to learn a lot of knowledge, and he comes on stage. He was like he was one of the speakers there, and he turned down the lights. They had LED lights on and shit like that. He started talking about the brain, and man, I kind of just fell in love with what he was saying. I was infatuated with how the brain works. I was always into the body. I studied a lot of like exercise phys and kinesiology. So that's my passion. That's what I nerd out on. So how it translates to the brain and the different parts of the brain, but why habits form and the science behind habit building, and just dropped a lot of knowledge, you know. So we started, you know, rapping right then and there, and shit, man, it's been on ever since. We started doing business together. Chloe, my daughter, who's now almost 18, had one of her major surgery. She's had 3 major surgeries on her spine since she was little. And her last one was in New York. Her doctor moved to New York City. So it was like 2017. Me and my daughter, we drove out there and we stayed with them, or we hiked that whole day, shit like that. I've always been part of like their family.
Yeah.
Like, twice a year since then, I'd go out there. We do business, we do podcasts, the juice. You know, we've been manifesting this since for a long time.
Nice.
This whole little sequence that you guys see us doing, we've been on that tip for a little bit now.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's kind of how I got into the whole fasting.
I was going to say in 2014, 15, how deep were both of you guys into the fasting?
He was a lot more deeper than me.
Okay.
I never even would ever attempt to do that at that
Got
time.
it.
That was, you know, I needed my oatmeal and my blueberries and my honey every morning. You know, I needed to eat 3-4 times a day with plus snacks, good stuff, decent, you know, for the most part. I was a former athlete, you know, I needed to be big and strong. So I thought, you know, and just think, I went to college for it. You know, I knew a lot of this stuff, nothing about fasting, you know. So he was, when I met him, he was dabbling into it. And I was always like, it was complex to me in my mind on how it worked, these time blocks and shit like that. I was like, man, who would ever figure out like when to eat, when not to eat? You know, like that's how do you even, where do you even start?
Yeah.
And lo and behold, that's, you know, here I am now, you know, changed my life completely, saved my life. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So where does Pandaman come from?
It's an interesting question. Ron Artest, do you remember the basketball player?
Yeah.
Ron
Yeah,
Artest?
I do.
So I was a big fan of Artest because I love the old school. I love how tough he was. And so I was on his email list, and he changed his name to Meta World Peace. And then shortly after, I think it was the Panda's Friend. And he sends an email out, says, guys, I came out with some apparel. I said, I'll support him, man. That's a pretty cool hat, pretty cool shirt. And then I started researching the animal, and I was like, man, this is really an interesting animal, if it exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Right? And that was part of what drew me to it, though. It was, by Westerners, thought to be a mythological creature. Supposedly, they didn't find it in the wild till like 150 years ago. Right? So this thing. And then started looking at like it's viewed as this cuddly thing, but it'll rip you to shreds. So the duality, right? And it means you could be kind and compassionate to everybody, but you can still be a fierce competitor. So I just felt like I connected with that. And then the black and white, the duality, you're either fasted or
polar
feasted,
opposite,
eating or not. Like it's black or white.
Right.
And that ties into the brain stuff. Don't leave the gray area. You waste so much energy with that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of came from Ron Artest was the inspiration. That, you know, and I got that was his logo I got though, because man, I really connect with this animal. And then when I wrote the book on fasting, and my form of fasting, I said, what am I going to call it? And it was the Panda Diet. That's where the Pandaman comes from.
Oh, cool.
Got it.
Is that, yeah.
Wow, fascinating. Awesome story.
Very cool.
So BK, we're more than a year into your journey with the Juice Plus. Undisputed.
Last week of August was when we got our first.
It's about a year and a half in.
No, 2023.
Last
So not
year.
even a year.
Not even a year.
Man, it feels like 3 years.
I
Feels
know.
like 3 years, but that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, November of 2023.
That's when we
is
launched?
Our the 2022 is when we thought about it. That's when
Yep,
we
I
started
remember that.
coming out
Yeah,
here.
right.
And then it started to figure, formulating into like we got to get, branding and
Yeah.
flavoring and things.
Yeah.
Like we're starting over.
So not even a year into this journey.
Yeah.
What would you say in terms of a quick analysis of how it's gone? I mean, has it been what you thought? Has it been different? Has it exceeded your expectations? Under-delivered? You've got, 4 flavors of juice, 2 flavors of Juice Plus, 6 SKUs today. I mean, less than a year, you've got 6 products,
Yeah,
right?
2 more coming this way.
A couple other things we'll talk about coming this way.
Yeah.
So how's that journey been?
It's good, man. It's exceeded. It's allowed us to recollaborate, or the word would be
Calibrate.
Calibrate.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's the yin and the yang. We kind of narrowed our focus. You know how you say you want to do a lot of things. There's this quote that says, "You can do anything, you just can't do everything."
Right.
And I tell Kyle, he told me that like 5 years ago. He's like, I did. Like, you did. Like, hey, it's all good. But And that's the truth is, entrepreneurs, we feel like we have a lot of visions out there. We have a lot of thoughts and, ideas. And we know we can do it, right? Because we have a lot of reps under our belts. So we did this and it exceeded our expectations. It was started off as like a side hustle, and not saying hustle in a bad sense, is like, passion behind it.
Purpose driven.
Maybe it was very purpose driven, but maybe it could bring in a couple extra dollars while helping out a community that we love, which is
Right.
our gym, and it it succeeded expectations. Yes, so we're out there and we're slanging and banging, and people from all over the nation. I think we've sold to every single state. We got into Canada, South Africa. So there's a movement, and we see a lot of repeat buyers, which is really
Right.
cool. So we actually consolidated some of our other business adventures now to let the juice take over, and we can now expand upon that, because we could only imagine if we put just that much more energy and time
Right.
and effort into what we're doing already. We have
Right.
the right team.
Right.
And when I say that, I'm including you guys, and that's why I made everybody stick around here and do this podcast, because this is the start, and we're going to look back on this day, no bullshit. We're going to remember this. It started off as a favor. That's how it started. You guys were doing me a solid. You guys weren't even working for House, and you guys were still working for somebody else. House of Greatness never even was. It was a thought. It was in your mind.
Right.
But you never launched it, anything, and this was a favor. Now this is a business endeavor that we're all on. We have the right team in place to be able to move this, where all your time and energy and effort that you put up to this date, it's going to come back. And I promise you guys that.
Yeah.
Because you guys are sitting here, and I owe it to you guys. Kyle for getting me into the fasting and being that voice when, man, I was going through some tough shit. When I mentioned something about Chloe, she was getting her final surgery. This is on her spine. She had her whole entire spine fused as a little girl, and I was going through a funk. I had to live in New York City for 3 weeks. That was her recovery. And I reached out to this dude, and we've always talked and bullshitted, just like how we all do.
Yeah.
And I said, I need a brain game. He designed brain games. He'll tell you about to do a brain game. It'll switch your focus off if your voice or your head is projecting too far forward, or if you're dwelling on the past. He gets you more in the present moment. That's what I was looking for. And he told me to do a 48-hour fast. And I never fast. I never thought about it. I wasn't into that. It never even crossed my mind. And I was like, you trying to kill me? I felt like my energy was low. There was a lot of shit going on.
Right.
I ended up in the hospital. They thought I had meningitis. I got spinal taps. I woke up in the hospital with wires and tubes in me. It was like weird. It was a wild 3 months. Stress was high. Came back home. Tried to get my shit together. Ended up in the hospital. So it was a pivotal point of my life. And I started fasting, and I never looked back. I was introduced to the realm, the mecca of life, which is energy, this different realm. I feel like I'm talking too much now because it is a podcast, but I was elevated to a different conscious level that I never knew existed. So it sat with me.
Right.
It sat with me, and then when I would talk to him, he would tell me about these concoctions, these salt concoctions, and to figure it out. This is how I do it. Well, I would do it for my people, and they'd shit themselves, or it would be too much or too little. So we were concocting, Shay and I, out of our cabinets, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and the whole focus was now driven on this community. 2020 comes along, everybody's getting the COVID shot or whatever. They're freaking out. Our gym got closed down by the man, and we're like, well, fasting is the route. That's how we became super passionate about fasting, because you want to increase your immune system. This is what you should do. This is what's proven. It's spoken about 70 times in the Bible. 70 times. It doesn't say if you fast or if you pray. It says when. And it became part of me to not only because I'm a coach, I get passionate when I coach people in the gym and stuff. That's my first passion. But now all of a sudden, I can just flow with this. I know how the body works. It makes sense. Every time I do a longer one, it makes more sense. Live application, not science. Live application. And this is how I feel. Try this out. And so anyways, I know you got to, I don't leave now, but I made sure that everybody is in here on camera to know, and Savvy over there to know that I am not going to let you guys down. Watch what the fuck happens. We've done 6,000. We're about to do 2,000 more within a year. Okay, so now we're consolidating, we're recalibrating. This is for our family. I'm telling you guys, this is, you guys all went in it like, no, man, just do your shit, do your thing. I'm like, no. Let me pay you guys back. Let me show you what I can do. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, never a doubt for any of us here.
Yeah.
There was never a doubt of any of that. I think fast forward where we are today, how Juice Plus was conceived, born in your gym, and I think it's really cool where you've got guys like Kyle in New Jersey who has a gym who's selling the juice to his clients,
He
right?
sells it all over the nation.
All over the nation, right?
Yeah.
And then you have other gyms probably also kind of doing that, right?
100%.
But fast forward to where we are today, and we've got a really cool, announcement to drop on a spin-off, on a collaboration between you guys on what I'm going to say is a high stimulant energy, electrolyte, endurance, performance product, right? And Joseph, the creative mastermind that he's in, and I'll let you guys kind of talk about what's sitting here. We're not drinking, FYI. Brandon might have a few. But, what that is and how it kind of correlates in the artistic world to, kind of go to what this label and what this collaboration is. And, we'll dive into the product a little bit. But, I'll shoot it over to you and kind of how you guys kind of connected on the vision of the art, right?
Yeah.
The art of this product.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, thank you, Brandon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just in general being who you are and the inspiration that you are to us to be able to create. Like Ike said, I don't think there's ever been any doubt of what you've been able to do. You've been able to do a lot more than most people have been able to do on their own. It's crazy to see that just an idea, and now 6,000 bottles, soon to be 8,000 bottles later in less than a year is crazy.
Yeah.
And the amount of room that there is to grow, like it's still in so many hands that we haven't gotten this product into it. I myself, at a point in time, you converted me over as well to do the fasting as well. Kyle, he's spoken super highly of you since day one.
Yep.
Has always mentioned like how you and I are very similar to each other.
Yeah.
How you remind, or vice versa, I remind you of him, or I remind him of you.
Yeah.
And
He's told me the same.
always, and so it's an honor, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, and we're gonna get to know each other as the time passes by.
Yeah.
With this project specifically, it was incredible, man. You came with an idea already of what you had in mind for it. Ironically enough, this year is the year of the dragon, so that alone says a lot about the fate and the destiny of everything. And you already had this vision in mind. I think when you presented to me the concept of the inspiration for this bottle, I was able to see the vision itself for the branding and the packaging of it. I thought it was a really cool idea to explore the packaging in a different format from anything that I've done in the past. I sat on the project for a while. I was telling you guys off camera. I sat on it for a while because I knew it was going to require, and not so much that it was going to require, but for me itself, I wanted to be able to deliver to the level of expectations that you had for this project itself. So I knew it was going to require me to actually do some hand rendering, some hand illustrations of this project. But I had the idea and the vision since day one. I sketched it out. We sketched it out immediately. As soon as he spoke to me about it, I was like, no, I got it. I laid it out, boom, boom, boom. I drew it. I knew how I wanted to display it. And I sat on this project for a bit because I was a bit intimidated of the approach at it. And then eventually when crunch time came down that, hey, like, this is happening, and we got to go into production immediately, I locked in. I stayed here. I knocked that label out throughout one entire day, I think it was. From the moment we spoke, I locked myself in down here. And by the time I was done with the label, it exceeded my expectations. The blend of the colors that we applied into it, and understanding like when I create stuff in 2D on the screen, it's one thing for you guys to see it 2D and for you guys to see a mock-up of it or whatever, but in my head I'm already visualizing how it's going to come out printed. I have the ability to see what I'm putting down, how based on the layers and how much metallic and gloss and all these things are going to come out, and the impact that it's going to have. So being able to see the label come to life in a quick manner too. We're working with a great printer now. He's a friend of ours. He's been delivering, executing super fast, and being able to execute it. The moment that I finished the label, I told the printer, I was like, if you haven't submitted any labels into a contest, a design show, this label will get you an award, so do that immediately. And sure enough, he showed the label to Hewlett-Packard HP. HP saw it. They're actually headed to a show within the next few weeks in Germany called Drupa. And they said, please get us 5 bottles of this immediately, signed off release forms. And they're submitting that in, so I have super high expectations that the label's gonna win some sort of award. So, it's just one of those things as well, like creating so many labels from last year since we started. We've done, I don't know how many brands, there's so many, I told you, there's so many ways that you could possibly design a pre-workout label that eventually, like, how do you continue to stay different? How do you continue to create something innovative? But again, it's just all about energy, right? So you've always delivered that energy, whether it's on podcast, off camera, online, when we get to speak, when we get to text message each other, social media, that energy and that vibe with us has always been there. So when it comes to creating it, and it's also like we're creating it together, right? And the involvement of everyone into this process just makes it even much more fun than just a one-time or one-off label. So on top of that too, being able to see it come to market and the way that you guys are gonna push it, that's what gets it even more exciting, because I can do the artwork, but you guys are getting it into the hands of so many people across the entire world and entire nation itself. The next step is going to be actually, this label ended up coming out so dope that I told Brandon, I was like, we need to update the original Juice. So now I'm going to give Juice a makeover with this, because this label just came out, sick. Juice was one of the first projects that we got to touch on. So I was still in the process of like learning. There was already a concept kind of like behind it to keeping the subtle matte black on black look. I'm still gonna keep that same concept, but now bring some of the elevated artwork that came from this energy label, transfer it over to the other. So now the two labels can stand next to each other and one doesn't take away from it. But not even a year in, and we're already into a repackaging, rebranding, but that's a part of it. That keeps it fresh, that keeps it young. Thank you guys for.
And you can see how passionate these guys are.
It's amazing.
About this, it's like, how could you not want? I mean, I came in. It's crazy. I came in today and was like, man, I was just thinking about you, Savvy. He was like, yeah, why? He's like, man, just because you're on point. You're making this content. You're professional. You're always working. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about, man. How can you not get behind people that are getting behind you on this type of stuff? Right? Like, it's a good team. It's not about me, man. It's well beyond, right? It's accomplishment, and it's your first project. It's definitely your first project with something like this.
Yeah.
And, the way we're gonna push it, and it's fun, man. It's a fun. What a long, strange trip it's been, as Jerry Garcia says.
Well, as we jump into energy, right? We're talking about this product, which is called Energy, right? This product is strong. We all took it this morning. Bernie did a 1/6 scoop. He's not good with the stimulants, but there was a video we posted a couple months ago when we were beta testing this product at NV Labs. You remember Brandon was shirtless. He might have even been pantless if I remember, but he was drenched in sweat. It was 6 hours of trying this thing, but this product delivers. It is strong. You're a high stem guy.
Yeah.
I used to be a high stem guy. I still like my stimulants, but this product is strong.
It is.
So, you got everything in there from citrulline, betaine, beta-alanine, 5 mgs of yohimbe coming from 2 different sources. You got GBB in there, which is going to add a little extra thermogenic heat complex to you. Feel that sweat coming from that. But for somebody looking for that extra switch and that extra push, this product delivers.
You got extra of this stuff, right? I'm gonna need some.
I don't have any more, guys. So
I have to hand it over.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You have to wait for launch day. But no, really awesome product. The current products from Undisputed Juice Plus do not contain stimulants, right? So this will be the first stimulant version in the line, and it delivers. I mean, it is strong.
There's no other hydration formula like this.
No.
This is.
I'm not calling it a high stim pre-workout. This thing is, it's a stimulant-based electrolyte hydration performance product.
Yeah.
Right?
Sick. Yeah.
Probably the first of its kind.
As far as
that
I
we've
know,
seen.
yeah.
And
for sure.
tastes phenomenal.
Yeah.
Naturally flavored, naturally sweetened, no
Color.
artificial colors.
Ties
Checking
perfect
all
into
those
the
boxes.
fasting, yeah.
It ties into the fasting community. And going back to Brandon's point, you guys have a product at the end of the day, but the biggest purpose of whether it's fasting or whatever you're into at the end of the day is helping people change their lives, right? Coming up with a way for people to find solutions to certain things, to better their lives, have more energy, whatever it is, right? Supplements help. But coming from the fasting world, I mean, you're just giving them the ammunition to make it, I don't want to say easier, but to kind of load the gun and go at it, right? And that's what these products do. And I think the messaging and what you guys do from the science perspective and the real life observations, or how you put that into real life scenarios for people, they understand that. And I mean, I've seen more people talk about fasting in the last year, since these products have dropped than ever before. So you guys probably know more about the analytics of how that community is growing right now, but I feel like it's a snowball right now, and it's only going to continue to get bigger and bigger.
It is.
So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to be a part of this journey. I love creating cool products, especially cool new products. This is definitely one of my favorite projects we've done. We'll show you guys
one of my favorite labels.
We'll show you the label here shortly. Kind of debut that, but
we don't have the label yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, but it's coming.
It's coming.
Tell them about the label issue, the viewers.
Which one? So you guys, I was supposed to have labels delivered on
Yesterday.
Monday. Somehow UPS lost them. They overnighted them for Tuesday delivery, which would have been yesterday. UPS still can't find them. We shot another batch of labels out yesterday to be overnighted and delivered this morning. Joseph was here at the office about 11 o'clock. I was wondering why they weren't here. We called UPS and they said they had an address issue, so we had to update the address. And then they said it's on the truck to be delivered. Well, it's 7:45 here, so I don't think it's being delivered today.
Not today.
But hey, what can you do sometimes? It's life.
I had a friend tell me this one quote that always comes back to: "Champions are just."
Like
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
Champions are just. Make it work.
I like it.
We got some great content at the manufacturer today of some of the products being run today. Some being run for the first time, so that's super exciting. Seeing the products run, you guys, we'll drop that video on kind of what that looks like. But no, it's been a fun project. Definitely looking forward to seeing kind of what the community and what everybody feels, not sees, but feels on this product.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna get some great, interesting feedback on that side.
People are gonna be hooked, man.
I'd say probably be available in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. So
If he's got the labels, he'll say.
we'll probably drop this podcast in 3 months, so the 3 weeks won't make sense. So it's already available. Go buy it. But coming soon.
Put a rush order on this one.
Yeah, it's been a great project, guys. Love what you guys are doing, the content you're putting out there. You're on a bunch of big podcasts with other guys out there, and kind of spreading that knowledge. BK's a beast, and everything that he's always doing. So anything we can continue to do to be a part of this journey, we would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want it.
It's an honor, man.
What do you think about your trip so far down to South Florida?
It's awesome, man. You
We
guys.
got in what, yesterday?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's only not even a little more than 24 hours.
A little more than 24 hours.
It's a long 24 hours when you come out here, man.
Yeah, it's been packed, man. And you guys have been, everything he's talked about, which is awesome to meet you guys in person.
Yeah, appreciate that.
It's been just a really cool day, man.
Interesting dinner last night.
Yeah.
Interesting dinner at the Cubano spot. We'll leave it at that.
It was good. It was good. Got to hang with my brother. It was
good meeting your brother.
Yeah, that was neat. It was neat.
I think it was great for you to see the facility.
Yeah.
Actually, who's producing your product. So actually knowing who's behind it, seeing how, from a regulatory perspective, they kind of do business, meeting the owner
Yeah.
of the business.
Yeah, he was
So
great.
being able to tell your followers and your consumers that you stand behind this product,
That's
you know,
huge.
you know what's in that bottle is
Yeah.
actually in that bottle, no banned substances, no illegal anything. If you were to test that product, it's going to test out per the supplement fact panel. So I think that's really important.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there's a lot of shady supplements manufacturers and shady supplements out there. You'd be surprised. You could go into a lot of supplement stores today. I'd say probably test half of the stuff in the store. It probably doesn't match label claim. And as a
believe it.
consumer, you're spending $40, $50, $60, $70 on something. You should be getting what's in that product. You go to the store and buy a banana. You're getting a banana. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, with supplements, it doesn't always work that way. So I think it's really important.
Big time.
GMP, NSF certified manufacturer, one of the biggest manufacturers in the world, NV Labs. So seeing that operation, kind of how they do, I think is really, really
It
cool.
was impressive.
Yeah.
Very
We got
impressive.
to wear some really cool white gowns.
Yeah.
Face guards, hair nets.
It's
Everything.
unfortunate for you since you like to be shirtless all the time.
Yeah.
Way too much clothes for you, buddy.
And you know what's crazy is I didn't even think about it, but I didn't wear my hairnet until I had to go into the
You need 2 hair nets.
and they're like, like, yo, like, oh shit, man, I'm having a good hair day too, man. It was cool, man. I like to see I like to see Savvy see the operation point like that. I know anybody that's an entrepreneur that's running a business can appreciate what they're doing at such a high level.
Yeah.
A business, regardless of what industry you're in, that's a good business that's being ran by a lot of people. 350 employees is a huge.
Wow.
Big operation.
So that operation is I'm sure it's not seamless like anything, but it's flowing.
Right.
It's cool to see this shit, man. We started, we're like, this is just the beginning.
I almost forgot. Didn't we try something today? Something that grows on a tree?
Oh yes.
We did.
Yes, we did.
Is that a mushroom?
We did. It's not a mushroom, Joseph.
They go
Okay.
under trees.
I know you got a problem, but it's not a mushroom.
I'm gonna leave you guys.
All right, big guy.
Okay,
Pleasure, man.
Joseph has
Well,
labels to do.
I got more work.
That are yelling at us.
You the man?
save me a shot.
I will.
Yeah, we tried something that grows on a tree today that might be coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know if we drop it yet.
So,
I don't know if
that
we
was
drop
fun.
it,
That was
but-
fun.
Yeah. There's a lot
of stuff coming.
A lot of stuff that goes into it behind the scenes if you want to do it right.
Yeah.
You could just have somebody say, all right, just make me a, pina colada, an orange,
Thanks.
but
Go in there, you make it in a day, and you're good to go. Sorry, guys, we forgot to pair FP&W.
that means we're running out of time.
Yep.
No, I think it'd be cool if Kyle spoke about just a little bit of fasting. I think there'd be, there's a lot of value that he brings.
I think a lot of people are intrigued about it, but don't really know
Where to start?
where to start. Is it good? Is it bad? I heard of a friend doing it, but
And-
what
and-
exactly is it?
And he basically, on a, in layman's terms, he'll walk you through it. That's how he coaches clients, and I'll have him expand on this. But he coaches clients, man, on what you're going to feel like, how to do it, what your first steps are. And I think he's got like a 90% success rate
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
Very high, yeah.
Extremely high.
Determined success rate.
Keeping the weight off.
Okay.
And then that's just the tip of the iceberg. But
Got it. So usually they're coming in with, they're looking to lose weight. That's kind of how
Most of them, yeah.
That's
Most
kind of where
of
the
them,
the entry level will come in at.
that's most of them, 90%.
But as we know, you could dive into this. There's the benefits are far superior than just weight loss.
Yes.
Yeah. Whether it's cognitive or all the other immune system support,
system.
all the other stuff. But yeah, dive in, give everybody a speed crash course
On
on
fasting.
fasting and what is it, why, and why to even look into it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you guys why I started it was in 2014. It's the last time I competed in bodybuilding.
And by the way, for anybody who knows anything about competing, it's the total opposite of fasting.
Yeah.
You're eating every 2 hours,
Yes.
8 times a day, constant food intake,
Yeah.
right? So, as a former competitor you were, the ideology of that is completely different
Completely
than what
different.
you've been doing.
Completely different. I was 8 weeks out from the show, so about halfway into my prep. And I had to starve myself the way I was coached the years prior, like 1,500 calories to get shredded. A guy my
Right.
size, that's starving myself.
Yeah.
And miserable. And then I'm reading this book halfway through the prep, talking about the stubborn fat cells. This guy Lyle McDonald, and the ways you can increase the blood flow to those areas through fasting, and him being hydrochloride. And I was like, it just clicked in my head. I'm like, I'm going to start tomorrow. So I took I was only doing 4 meals because I was eating so little food.
Right. 1,500 calories, yeah.
And I cut that to 2, your typical intermittent fasting. And right away I was like, all right, there's something to this. I felt better like instantly. Was able to
How
make.
long was your first fast?
16 hours.
16.
Yeah, I did 16, 8. Most people do for 5 years before I switched to the longer form fasting.
Yep.
So I had a lot of experience with it, and just kept going down. In 2019, I was doing a fat loss contest with my staff, a lot of younger guys, and that was when I was like, man, there's got to be another level to this. Started researching it, started doing 48s, 72s every week for that first summer.
Wow.
And I just was like, man, this is freaking incredible, and kind of
That's
documented.
48 to 72 hours.
Yeah.
Just in case everybody's wondering.
Yeah. Yeah.
2 to 3 days.
Yes, and I did that the whole summer. And then at the end of the summer, I said, okay, I'm not going to form a habit around doing 72s. I love food, man.
Yeah.
I love to eat. But I said, I can do a 48 every week. So since that time, I've been doing a 48, 1 meal a day for 5 years now. So there's nobody that's
You have set
studied
days
that.
for that 48? Or is it all
Sunday
week?
night to Tuesday night.
Okay, so you got that program.
Yeah.
Breaks it on Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
But I do taco. We call it Mexican Wednesday.
Mexican.
And I don't do Tuesday because LeBron James does that, and I don't like LeBron James. I was like, I'm not doing Taco Tuesday. So we do it Wednesday.
Well, today's Wednesday.
Today's
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Mexican.
Yeah, I would love that, dude.
Mexican Wednesday?
Yeah,
Is that what you called it?
yeah. Mexican Wednesday.
I always show up at his house on Mexican
Mexican
Wednesday.
Wednesday. It's the best, dude. I love it.
Always.
I love it.
I know a good Mexican spot for tonight. I got us tonight. It'll be better than last night.
Nice.
And I thought last night was good. Food
It'll be
was
better.
All right.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, when you were kind of breaking into your initial fasting crash courses back then, what did supplementation look like? Were you taking supplements or?
So yeah, I was doing I seen you have one downstairs, a glucose disposal agent.
Okay, GDA.
Yep, I was doing that. I was doing hydrochloric acid. So Charles Poliquin always had us doing that. I learned a lot from Charles. But I realized very quickly with the 16/8 fasting, I didn't need that anymore. Take it, get a burn. Okay, I got enough hydrochloric acid. So I found that fasting was rejuvenating, giving the gut a break. And always was kind of searching for that stimulant. I always loved that. But I remember the first time I competed having coffee twice a week because I didn't want the effects to go away. And I'd wake up at like 4 in the morning and drink a pot of coffee, and I'd love it, dude. Listen to like Blink 182, and I'd feel it.
Right.
And it got to the point where it was hard for me to feel any of that stuff, and I missed it. But there wasn't any major supplements besides your vitamin D, zinc.
But you weren't really messing around with any minerals and stuff. You
No,
had electrolytes.
no. That wasn't onto that now. It was still
Right.
about 2019.
Okay.
That's when I was like, okay, this is what you got to take.
Right.
And then researching that, and that was when I came onto it, 2019. As far as the fasting, and then the fasting, it kind of just, I realized going back to the habit formation that it's so simple, so much less complex. And I tell people, I'm like, okay, if it was equivalent to a caloric-based diet where you're eating 5 times a day, why would you choose a more complex option, which is eating more times a day, more food prep, more times you got to stop, more things can get in your way from missing that meal? Why would you choose that? It doesn't make sense to me, right? It's based
Emotion.
on.
I mean, obviously, there's probably a hunger play, right? People are hungry.
So
technically.
there's hunger, and so one of the main things I try to get people to understand that want to take this lifestyle on is hunger and appetite aren't the same thing. Like a lot of people, they're correlated, but hunger's it's like a feeling. It'll pass. Right. It'll pass. Just like if I told you tomorrow you're going to be sad for 20 minutes, you'd be like, oh, that sucks. But it's only 20 minutes. I know I can do that.
Right.
If I'd say, okay, tomorrow you're going to feel hunger for 10 minutes, right? That's it. And it's going to pass. Because a lot of people will hyperfixate on the hunger and then they'll go
that's
eat
all they're
right
thinking
away.
about.
Yes.
Right.
It's more of like a craving.
It's a craving. I look at it as an emotion. I really try to get people to view it as an emotion. Right. And it just, I know it's not necessarily an emotion, but it helps people reframe it. And then we look at when you feel that hunger, then this is something I started doing when I was competing, was telling myself this is what fat loss feels like. So every time I feel hunger, I reframe it in my head. This is great.
It's working.
Yeah, this is good, man. It's a primal feeling you're supposed to have. And your body fat is a food source, and food is a drug. So get people to make these connections, and they start viewing their relationship different with food. And it sounds counterintuitive. It's very liberating with food, because again, I love to eat. So I have my feast. Every meal,
look forward to it.
I look forward to it. It's the best meal ever. Every meal I eat.
Right.
That gratitude I have for that meal.
Now, entry level, someone wanting to jump into this, I mean, is there, from a program perspective, do they immediately jump into a 16? How do you kind of, I don't say baby step them in, but how do they kind of get in?
Yeah, I don't, when I was doing the 16s, I would have people start with that. And when I figured out the long form fasting, people go through my program, I put them right into a 48, right out the gate.
Immediate 48.
Immediate, because I want to build their confidence. Yeah, build their confidence.
No, I can do a 48.
Yes, knock out any fear they have, because there's a lot of misconceptions.
Now, during that 48, obviously fasting means no intake of calories, technically break it down. But from a liquid perspective, mineral, nutrient perspective, when you're fasting, you can't consume.
You consume all day long. You can
water,
do
obviously.
Yeah, water.
Coffee,
tea.
Electrolytes.
Yes.
Minerals are fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything that doesn't have calories. Calories is kind of what offsets the fast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the whole key. You consume that stuff.
And that's the black and white version that I really, that's what I'll teach as well from that is it's either, you're either fasted or you're in a fed state.
Right.
There's one or the other.
Right.
Like, let's
Yeah,
not, because people, and there's research out there what will break a fast and
Correct.
what won't, but why go down that road? Why start utilizing like loopholes all of a sudden?
Yeah, you miss something when you do that.
So once they knock out that first 48, now they get past that 48, they get to eat, right?
Yes.
Is there a calorie threshold of what they can consume?
No, there's very few clients I've had, and I tracked myself the whole first summer, that can out-eat this, because a lot of people don't realize metabolic rate can go up or down 40%. Most people experience it coming down through these diets they've done throughout the years, like happened to me, right? And I found that fasting, the long form, restored my metabolic rate. So I kept bumping up calories the first summer. I'm like, holy
crap. Burning it off.
Yeah, I'm like, this is great. Your body can only absorb so much of that feast too, right? So there's that aspect. And then the slingshot effect of insulin, where it's the most anabolic hormone. That's limited for fat loss majority of the time. But when we eat, we want to take advantage of the anabolic effect of insulin.
Right.
Let's get these nutrients going to the muscle. So there's been very few people, the calories is the last thing I ever adjust, because I have a formula with how I eat, as far as I'd like to start with fruit. Get all those micronutrients, counterintuitive to most people. Yeah, all this, load up with fruit. And then you go into your feast, whatever, if you can.
That's after your 48.
That's your food, and then that's one meal a day.
Are they limited in terms of food of what they can eat when they break 48, or
No.
is it open field?
It's open. I tell them start with the fruit. So, new people I have to start with like bone broth or something. Just to,
some people probably don't want McDonald's.
Yeah, and if they could do, and I tell them, I'm like, the first step is get your fasting period down. Don't even worry about what you're eating right out the gate. And then as they build, then they start craving nutritious foods.
Right.
It just kind of cleans itself up. It's like your taste buds come back to life, and you really start looking forward to that fruit. And then your whatever, your grass-fed beef, potatoes, veggies, and you really just start loving it, man. And it's simple. So then they go to one meal a day.
So after the first 48, they eat.
They eat.
I'm assuming it's probably
Tuesday night.
Nighttime.
Yeah,
right?
for dinner.
Bed after that, right?
Yeah.
Next day, jump into a 16.
One meal, so a dinner. So then you just get into a dinner.
So your 16 and then your dinner will be your one meal.
One meal a day, yeah. So you get into that cadence. I give people a cheat day just for psychological reasons. But
cheat day or cheat meal?
I give it them the option. I said, make it whatever you want. And people learn pretty quick, man. It feels good when I'm eating. Like, I used to live for my cheat days when I was bodybuilding. Live for them.
Yeah, well, you feel terrible.
You feel terrible.
After you eat that,
So
sluggish, you're tired.
Yeah, that's it. So then it's very rare now that even on my Sunday, my cheat day, that I have 2 meals.
Yeah.
We went to Mother's Day brunch last week. There was great brunch at the country club. And man, Devin made a real good dinner, but I just wasn't hungry at all. Like, I didn't want to eat it. I did my Sunday. I always do like a giant sundae on Sunday. I've been doing that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
This giant bowl of ice cream and brownies or whatever. I still did that. So I won't miss that, man. I don't miss that.
And I think that's a good introduction into the fasting world. Obviously, it gets way, way deeper into the weeds and everything. I think it's super fascinating. I think neurologically, cognitively, the benefits of fasting. There's so much way beyond just the calories in, calories out, burning fat. One thing you touched on, which was actually you said this in the gym to me today, which I was unaware of, but the connection of fasting and yohimbe, which I think is super interesting.
That's very interesting. Yeah,
it's obviously why we chose to put a high amount of some yohimbe in this product.
Yes,
right.
It's
So
potent.
obviously, not yohimbe is not for everybody. A lot of people that kind of don't like it, but you know, besides the stimulatory effect of yohimbe, you know, it does go after sub-Q fat.
Oh yeah.
You know, the
Big
research
time.
has proven to that. So in combination with fasting, I don't have a multiplier for you, but you know, it turns it up times 10,
big time.
20, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
It turns your body into this, you know, fat burning machine.
Yeah, it's going to be
So,
very powerful for people that
It
come.
preps your body to be able to transition to burn fat.
burn fat, right?
It's the body won't just burn fat right
Right.
away. I was just reading about the glycogen storage. It can't hold more than 2,000 calories.
Yeah, it's not that
And
much.
the fat is 100,000 calories. It
Yeah.
holds.
100,000. So you got to break it. Yeah, you got to crush glycogen.
Yes.
Get into the fat storage and start.
It's not
Yes.
you're not always going to pull all your glycogen out because there's other tissues that need glycogen,
Right.
like your brain and shit. You'll have some, you know, you'll burn. It's like emptying
burn
the
it
cup.
down. Yeah.
You use that.
Yeah, empty
Empty
the
the
freezer. The freezer. Yeah.
Use the freezer and the fridge.
Yeah.
We're talking about it at Undisputed right now, kind of emptying the cup. You're not, you know, you're just trying to
gotta
get rid of that
get it.
stored glucose first, and let people know, like, hey, you're either going to be storing sugar or fat. You know, it's getting broken down by amino acids or fatty acids or sugar, glucose. You know, most likely you're going to be burning that glucose as fuel. But if you keep on taking in compared to what you're putting out, you're always storing, and then that's
Correct.
inflammation.
Yeah.
And if you think about it like scientifically, or even like at the health standpoint, which how I got into this is more health related, you're taking the inflammation out of the gut, which you just talked about. Is, you know, if you're eating all the time, even if it's calorie ins, calorie outs, let's just say it's equal.
It's
you know,
constant food intake,
you're-
though.
you're-
You're inflamed all the time.
Yes.
well, that's the thing is your gut is always working.
Correct.
And we know through, you know, the design of our stomach that we're not supposed to be taking it. Well, we know because when you don't take it in, what happens? We know that there's some really cool things that happen that stem from the gut when you don't eat all the time. So, but going back to what you're saying is, yeah, you bypass that glycogen, and slowly you'll start emptying that cup, and you're prepping, like the yohimbe will prep your body to start dabbling into that fat.
Right.
Those fat cells is.
Yep.
And now everything's working good, and your brain starts feeling really good about itself because that's where all the toxins are. You know, a lot of the toxins are stored in the fat cells.
Yeah.
You know, so your body's like rewarding you for getting into that. You know, 100,000 calories of stores compared to 2,000 in the glycogen, and now that's a big deal if people out there can conceptualize that. You know, there's somebody that just did, I forgot his name, but he did 5 marathons in 5 days, and he did it fasting. And he never ran a marathon before in his life, before he did the first one. And he trained for it. His point was, though, let me train not only my feet, my ankles, my knees, my joints, which was tough on him, but I need to train my body how to get rid of, how to transition into burning fat as fuel.
As fuel.
Because you can't just do that. Like,
Right, it's not a
that's the
switch.
thing with Kyle, which he'll mention a lot, is, you know, 16/8 are, you know, that's nothing. And it is nothing, but it is something. But it's nothing because it's hard to dip into the fat. If that's what you're
If
looking
that's what your
for.
goal is, right.
Now you can start slowly emptying it, but you need to at least, you know, in what I've seen, at least like some 24s to get ready. Let's start just slowly emptying the cup out,
Yeah.
and think about that sugar, what it's doing, and it's like charred glass for your pancreas. You know, and that's where your insulin comes from. And every time you eat, you're putting more and more insulin in your body, and then over time you become insulin resistant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but when you do fast, only a little bit of insulin comes out.
Right.
It only needs it. It saves a lot of it. And that's when you become really, you know, insulin sensitive, and that's what Kyle was talking about, is let's get it back into your muscle cells, your muscle tissues.
Yep.
Let's put that food there. It's like as you get older, you get more efficient. You know, that's the whole game. And we're all entrepreneurs here. Even for you guys listening, entrepreneurs, it's about when you develop, you get not faster, it's just you get more efficient, more
Efficient,
effective
strategic.
with your decision making.
Right.
right? Because you have a family, then you have kids, or you get your business starts to
Or a
take
cat.
off, or a cat.
Catman. Like a
There we go.
Catman.
But that's the science, man. That's the
Yeah.
fun stuff. And, we get it a lot, like, we'll prove it. And it's like, well, if you talk about, like, most people when they become doctors, they learn that everything's in theory. First and foremost, everything is in theory. Now, if you train that theory, or if you test that theory enough, then it becomes like biological science. So there's a lot of theories out there.
Yeah. Right.
And some theories you can't explain. You just have to experience.
Right.
And that's the thing, is you just got to experience it. It's hard to put it in words.
And
What
the
happened.
truth exists always before science. It's impossible to do it the other way. Science just proves it.
Right.
It depends what are people studying, right?
And when we talk about the science, a lot of them, the argument is calories in, calories out. You want to just expand upon that, if you don't mind?
Yeah, it's a factor, but it's not the main factor. And Gary Taubes wrote a great book. He was a journalist, investigative journalist, Why We Get Fat, and the whole book's about insulin. And I'm reading that, I'm like, man. And then what I've experienced with myself with it, I'm like, okay, again, the calories can go up or down, right? Your body, if your body is recognizing that as the main fuel source by eating frequently through insulin output, then it's a drug, right? Your body's always going to rely on it. Then metabolic rate's going to match what you're putting in. So my metabolic rate back when I was bodybuilding, even when I was doing the 16-hour fast for 5 years, if I would eat more than, like, on average 2,200 calories a day, I'd start getting fat. And my wife Devin would say, I don't understand how much work you put into training, how you eat, because I was always measuring everything. And
Yeah.
I think you would look different, you would look better. And she wasn't saying it to be mean, and I was frustrated, because I'm like, yeah, man, that should be.
Bet.
Yeah.
All right. I see you.
You
I
know,
hear you.
yeah, and I couldn't figure it out, man.
You start training that hunger hormone, don't you? You
Yeah.
start, because we always use this analogy. Do you really think you're hungry when you wake up in the morning? Do you think you've done enough
You need
work?
to eat, yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Or
need to?
is it routine?
However
Yeah.
you want to classify, or the definition of hunger, whether it's a craving or do you need to eat, right? Is it a necessity right now, or is it just a luxury?
Right.
Did we get that domesticated in our lives right now that we think we earn the right to go to bed fed and wake up fed, to feast right when we wake up, because we're that domesticated in our life. And then we wonder why our day is how it unravels itself. I don't know. I think there's a lot of behavioral things that you learn from fasting, as opposed to when you learn from just your will, your will to succeed and to try to get all these meals weighed out and prepped. And
I think it's dedication. I mean, it's forcing you to be somewhat dedicated and on a plan technically than just winging it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. A lot of discipline, dude. I mean,
It's discipline, yeah. So, I think that's a big part of it. And obviously that branches off to a lot of different aspects of
there's
life.
tons.
So
There's tons. You go into behavioral, eating behaviors and things like that, and but if you can start training when your body is actually, telling you that you need nutrients. If you can train that, I think that's the ghrelin hormone actually initiates so much, right? It initiates the glucagon, right?
Yeah.
The glucagon,
Yeah.
and then the ghrelin, right? It's like, well, no, ghrelin and then the glucagon, because that would be why glucagon would release what it does.
Yeah.
So if you can train the ghrelin, right? I mean, I don't know. There's a lot behind it, but it's fun. It's different, right? It works. Everybody that I know
it's
that.
sustainable.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. That's the thing.
And I think from the general side too, being able to not restrict on what I technically can and cannot eat, I think it's huge for people that
Huge.
want to get into a weight loss journey and love their food, but don't want to be restricted to, grilled chicken,
Yes.
broccoli and fish.
Yeah.
So, not saying, go crazy all the time, but still having some room to kind of eat what you still
Huge,
want.
man.
And like you
That's-
said, I mean, you know, you wake up, you got to make it till, you know, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and you kind of get to eat what you want.
Yeah.
How bad is that?
Yeah, you look
And
forward to it, you earn it.
You earn it, you look forward to it. You know, hardest thing is, you know, for a lot of people, is going to be just deciding what they want to eat, right?
Yeah.
Well, I got to get the right, make sure I want to get the right food in there. But no, fascinating stuff on fasting in general. You know, probably two of the most well-known guys out there right now in fasting. So, honor for me to be here. Please check these guys out. Please check out the Juice Plus, the soon to be released energy product.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be
shit
a whole
right
new
there,
ball
So,
game, man.
But yeah, like I said, if you guys are in Illinois, Jersey, check these guys out. Check them online, social media. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being on the House of Greatness
Thanks,
podcast.
man.
Thanks for being bros. You know, like Joseph said, man, we really appreciate you guys, and
Yeah,
you know,
man.
we'll do a catch up in a couple months and see where everything is.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
Peace.
Later.
Peace.